Okay, this is to see if the mic is working. All right, loveys.
Where can I sit? Where can you see me?
Sit over there, like on the bed. Right? I just have to get comfortable. Yes, literally. Okay. I can't believe this is, it feels real, doesn't it? Like this kind of, it's giving podcast vibes. Okay, cool. Let's get right into the video. Put my phone to charge first. And then we'll get straight into the topics that we have lined up for today. I'm so freaking excited. Okay. Okay, let me do a little intro. Okay. Ready? Lydia, say 3, 2, 1, action.
3, 2, 1, action.
I just want you to see this is me. So please accept me for who I am. And please accept me for what I do. I'm just doing it.
Hey loveys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, it's obviously Anna Belize. Make sure you click all of the links down below in the description to get caught up with me on all my other socials and to keep up with me. Oh my god, I'm nervous, not me stuttering. Okay, listen, so today is going to be giving podcast vibes because that's definitely the kind of route. Is it route or route? I feel like it's route. This is trying to route. This is the. Oh my god, I'm stuttering. I'm so nervous. Okay. Stop, just act natural, bitch. Act natural. Okay, this is the kind of route that I'm trying to go with on my YouTube channel. I want it to be more of like a podcast vibe, more like where we chat and talk, and not so much like vlog lifestyle type of things. I do that more on my TikTok. I like the shorter clips of like a vlog, day in my life, the like silent ASMR type of vlogs. Like that's kind of what I do over there. So if you're into those type of vlogs and that type of content, more lifestyle vibes, definitely check out my TikTok. It'll be linked down below in the description box. But for my YouTube, I want it to be more of like me just chatting and talking shit. You feel what I'm saying? I feel like I have so many opinions, so many great ideas, and just advice in general that I want to share. And I feel like I have this platform for a reason. So I'm like, you know what? Let me use YouTube for what I think is best. You know, like just a video, just like a sit down talking video where people can kind of just like disconnect from the other side of social media and like where we can have a real discussion and talk about real things. So I have my little notepad here of everything that I wrote. I have like a little mini one and then I broke it down and made it bigger because I needed to really get into detail of everything that I'm going to talk about, because if not I will go off on a tangent. So I kind of wrote down little things that I wanted to talk about. So I don't really know what I want to call this podcast or my podcast yet. I don't want to say it's a podcast just yet because right now this is just going to be a YouTube video that I'm filming, and it just so happens to look like a podcast setup because that's the vibe I wanted to give. But I definitely am thinking about starting a podcast. I just don't know like what exactly I'm going to call it. I have a couple of ideas, but I won't say until it's official. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like a podcast is definitely the vibe for me and what I want to do. So let me know if you fuck with the vibes. Let me know if you guys are messing with it. Let me not cuss because I'm not trying to get demonetized or anything over here. Not that I am monetized, but I don't want to risk any chances, okay? So again, this podcast is more like a work in progress, just like my YouTube channel, and just kind of, I guess, getting a niche down is the best way to put it down. Like, I don't know. I just don't want to do vlogs. I want to stick to podcasting and like just talking to the camera and having a real conversation. So that's where we're at. I guess I'm gonna have to like give you guys another little life update because it's been like a month and some change since I posted on here again. But I was in the middle of doing 75 hard and I actually quit. So let's talk about that because I don't think I'll make a video on it on my TikTok. I just don't feel a need to. Like, I really just don't want to. We're just gonna brush it behind us and keep it pushing. But here for my YouTube, since you guys are here and you're watching, I will tell you why I quit. So I quit. I stopped recording after day 15, but I didn't quit until after like day 30. So I started a challenge August 2nd, right? And 30 days from August 2nd would be September 2nd. So I know that I continued after September 2nd, probably like till the 3rd or the 4th, but I just didn't hit the gym twice a day. I just quit because it was just like, there's no point. Like, I don't want to hit the gym twice a day. So I guess that's me quitting, but I still hold a lot of the principles that I learned from the challenge. Like, I have a stable routine. I make sure that I eat 3 times a day. I'm still worshiping and praising God. And I'm just doing everything that I wanted to do just without going in the gym twice a day. And I feel like I was wasting so much time editing one video that I wasn't getting enough content out for my TikTok. So I don't know, I feel like it set me forward in my real life, but kind of set me back as far as like social media and content wise. So I don't know, I would say if you're going to do the 75 hard challenge, make sure that it's something that like isn't going to interfere with anything else in your life, because it is a lot of commitment. And I feel like I was ready and I could have finished, but I just didn't want to. So technically I did quit, but I didn't really quit because I still do everything that was in the challenge, just not the 2 times a day for the gym or whatever. But I'm still proud of myself for trying, and it was fun recording and all of that fun stuff. I felt so good that a lot of people were like inspired and were like, oh my god, like, I'm gonna try and I want to do it, and they're like, oh my god, keep going. But it's just like, at the end of the day, I started this challenge for myself, and I just decided, like, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. So I just quit and I stopped. But I feel like that's okay, you know. Life is all about growing and learning new things and not really forcing anything. And talking about forcing things, I just want to talk about some relationships and friendships and things like that. I feel like lately in my life, I'm just in a space where I have so many good and kind people around me that are so genuine, and I feel like once I started to pour love into myself, that's when other people started to pour love into me also. And I know it sounds kind of cliche because like you should be your main source of love, but it feels really good having people around me that love me and care about me just as much as I care and love about myself. And I feel like that only came once I committed to that challenge and really put myself first. Once I built a routine, not that I wasn't before, but like once I really started taking it in for what it was, I don't know, I feel like my life has really changed. And just internally, like, I don't know, I just feel really good. I feel really healthy, just mentally, everywhere, all around, really. I just feel great and amazing. And one thing that I've been doing is putting God first. And I've learned that you never really know who God has his hands on or what he's working on, because there are so many people and things that you see in like social media and just in the world or whatever. And sometimes you'll think like, damn, what am I doing wrong? You know what I'm saying? But you can don't ever underestimate what God can do for you, because I've learned that I'm literally living in all of my answered prayers. Like anything that I've prayed about, I literally have gotten. And whether it be like me noticing that subconsciously or just like actually realizing like, holy fuck, like I prayed for this and like now it's here, just know that God always has his hands on you and on like your life. You feel what I'm saying? And to that, I want to talk about a couple of people who I also feel like God has his hands on, and we're going to be talking about Chrisean and Blueface. And listen, I know for some people like this is like, who really cares? I don't care. I want to talk about it because I feel like their relationship has been all over social media. And for one, can we talk about how toxic it is? Like they were literally beating on each other for a few months and we were all just watching it. Like no one did a damn thing. And I know it's like not our place, like they're grown adults, like, you know, at some point they're gonna get the hint, and if they want to stop they will. If they want to get rid of each other or not be together then they will. But it's just like, at what point wasn't that shit enough? And it's just like, it's wild to me that they went from all of that, and now that they have a kid, this is what I was talking about when like you don't know who God has his hands over. Because the whole time Chrisean was pregnant or whatever, she was like realizing that like, you know, Blueface isn't really who he said he was, and like she can realize, or she can like now recognize that he was in some way, some form sabotaging her. Like yes, he brought her fame and he brought her money and he gave her everything, but at the same time he was sabotaging her. But I feel like Chrisean was only able to see this and come out of this and still be in such a positive light, I guess, because God is in her life, and she's made that very clear that she believes in God and that she prays to God all the time, and like, you know, she's very familiar with God. And no one's perfect. Like no one is going to be 100% a perfect Christian or whatever religion she is. Like no one's going to be 100% perfect. So we have to give her a little bit of grace when she says that she like prays to God or whatever, because I've seen so many people talk about that, like, oh, how can she pray to God but then act that way or do this and do that? And I just feel like that's not really nobody's business, because again, you don't know who God has his hands over or whatever. But I just feel like the whole situation for her is a blessing because she has God in her life. And I feel like if she didn't, it would be a whole different story, because bro, the way that Blueface is so bitter, it's insane to me. It's absolutely insane. Like you're telling me this man goes on Twitter rants at his grown ass age and just talks about like Chrisean and then Jaden and his baby moms or whatever, and it's just like so much has happened. And like I've been seeing, okay, let me catch up to what I've seen, because I've been keeping up low key, right? Since she had the baby, he went and like was talking mad shit about how so many people have been carrying his child, but like he hadn't even gone to see his kid. He was talking about how is she hitting the gym, like she needs to rest. Like, what are you, a doctor? Like I just don't understand what his concern really is. Like, is it the baby? Is it Chrisean? And I don't know, I feel like I wish he would just let it go. But we actually have an update, because today, let me check my phone. Today, apparently Chrisean and Blueface were seen together in Baltimore, hanging out or whatever. And here's what I'll say, right? I feel like all the shit that they were talking while she was pregnant, like him and Jaden, him leaving her towards the end of her pregnancy, she gave birth alone. Like, I mean, it was her choice, and she did say she didn't want him there, whatever. But it's just like, I don't know. I could never forgive that shit. I would never be able to look past him saying like he was going to kick her in her stomach at 5 months so that she could lose her child, saying he was going to stress her out before and after the baby, and even after she gave birth. He was like so toxic. I don't know. For me personally, I don't think I could forgive that, but I understand like where she's coming from. Like, that is the father of her child. Like, they're bound to each other no matter what at this point, so like she has to do something. But today they were arguing on Twitter, or Jaden, I will say, his first baby mom, was arguing with him on Twitter because she's mad that he went to go see the baby. And I'm just like, I'm also concerned for women that are like that. Like, why would you want to keep your man or your baby daddy away from their child? Like, I feel like he's supposed to take care of the child. You know what I'm saying? Like, him taking care of his child doesn't mean he's not going to be with you. Unless Blueface left Jaden and is now with Krishan again. That will be mind-blowing. But from what it looks like he left to go see the baby, and I don't know, Jaden is pissed off. She's calling him a liar and a weirdo and a narcissist, and it's just a never-ending thing with these people. And I know that it's like social media, right? Social media, we don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. For all we know, they could be putting up a show and like they're really not like this in person, but like, I don't know, you know what I mean? I don't like to assume or judge, but I just wish that Krishan could just really see Blueface for what it really is. And I hope she's not back with him, and I hope that it's just her, you know, just coming to terms with like, this is my son's father, like he's gonna have to see him. It doesn't have to be anything, but we have to be cordial for the kid. You know what I mean? Like, I hope that's where it's coming from, and that she's not the Lulu and Cuckoo again, because if she is, at this point, I'm giving up. At this point, I really will give up on Krishan, because it's like, how much can you take? You know what I mean? Like, we can only forgive him so much for you, and it's like, again, not our life, but you feel what I'm saying? Like, I just see this and I'm just thinking, I'm just like, for someone who has God so heavy in her life, like, damn, bitch, wake up. That's how I be feeling. And low-key, I feel like Blueface deserves prison. I don't know why that man is still free. He's crazy. There's a lot of questionable shit on the internet that he's said and done. Like with his baby moms, his kids too. Like, he be asking his kids if he's gay. Like, it's just a lot. Blueface is a lot. He deserves prison. Speaking of prison, let's talk about that escaped prisoner that was free on the loose for damn near 2 weeks. In Pennsylvania. Literally like 2 hours away from me. Let's talk about it. His name was Danilo Calvacante. I think I'm saying that right. So this young man, let's talk about his backstory, right? This young man was, I think he was born in Brazil. I think he's Brazilian, and he had unalived somebody there also, and was serving a prison sentence there. He managed to escape the prison in Brazil, escaped into a forest in which they lost him and just presumed him dead, because who's gonna survive a rainforest, right? I mean, honestly, I don't even know the conditions of a rainforest, but I guess it's like, you know, like a rainforest, and like it's dangerous and stuff like that, so like, how could he survive or whatever? But he used to, like, I guess, sleep on the trees and hide in the trees, so like that's how they lost him. They couldn't find him, so they just assumed he died, right? Fun, we love that. He ends up coming to the US and he meets this lady. I don't remember the lady's name, and I feel so bad because she's the victim, really. But it's just crazy, like the whole we'll talk about it. But he ends up meeting this lady. She has 2 kids of her own, and she kind of is a little fishy about Danilo, right? She's like, what is really up with him? Like, he's a little cold towards my kids. He's not really, like, I don't know, like, he's not all the way there is really the point with this woman, right? So she ends up finding out about the murder that he committed in Brazil, and she's about to warn authorities. I don't really know too many details on how that went, but pretty much he ends up unaliving her by stabbing her 38 times in front of her kids. Let me mute this. Sorry about that. But he ends up unaliving her in front of her 2 kids 38 times. He stabbed her 38 times. I'm just so confused as to like how the whole situation went about. Like, was this already his plan, or did he find out that she found out about the murder, so he's like, you got to go too? I don't really know how that went about, but just the whole, that's so very sad. Like, the fact that she found out and then she was so scared, and then he probably said, like, you know, just thinking about her last feeling of like knowing like this man was a murderer in Brazil. Like, I have to warn somebody, and then he like literally kills her before she could say anything in front of her kids is so harsh and gruesome. So he ends up going to jail. This happened in around 2021. So he was in prison, right? He was just about to be moved to, no, he was in jail. He was like in a state jail. He was just about to be moved to a prison, a high security prison. And he ended up escaping. He literally bear crawled up like 2 walls or whatever. If you literally search this up on Twitter or TikTok, like, you'll see all of the information on this case. It's absolutely wild and insane. But he like bear crawls up out of the like jail, prison, whatever, and then he gets over a fence with barbed wire. I was so confused. Apparently barbed wire is like impossible to get like through, or like how do you even get through it? We don't know, because the security guard that was watching the footage wasn't paying attention, and they actually didn't know he was gone until after an hour when he's already left. So like he had a whole 1 hour head start to pretty much get free, and thus he did. He was literally free for 14 days. And within him being free for 14 days, he ended up breaking into homes. He stole somebody's like shoes. He ended up getting a fresh shave somehow. Like, he shaved in the midst of him being free. He stole a van. He ditched that van because I guess it like ran out of fuel or whatever. And then he ended up breaking into somebody's house and he stole a gun. Oh, and he also visited his old co-worker's home like via Zoom, and was like trying to talk to her and was like, come outside, like help me. And she was like, no, I'm not even home right now, like what are you doing? And so it's like the police had multiple times, and like they knew where he was kind of, but they just could not find him. Like, he was playing ultimate hide and seek. It was actually crazy, I'm not gonna lie to you. And for a second there I thought he was never gonna get caught, because if he escaped Brazil, how can he get away? You know what I mean? I mean, if he escaped Brazil, like there's no way they're gonna catch him. But they ended up catching him after 13 days, and the police didn't catch him. Here's the fucking kicker. They had a canine who's like obviously smelled him, and he was under a pile of logs. The canine bit him in the head and, you know, had him disabled for enough time for the police to finally capture him and grab him. And he was armed. He did steal a guy's gun. He stole the gun like after 12 days of him being free, so he was armed for about 2 days, and he's again a very dangerous man. And once they found him, what was mind-blowing to me about the whole thing is that the police proceeded to line up and take a picture with said murderer. And they like posed for the picture, and they were like, you know, like kind of bragging that like they caught the guy, but really they didn't catch him. The canine did. So for me personally, I feel like it should have just been a picture with him and the canine, and even then I don't think we should be taking a picture with him at all. Why are we taking a picture with a murderer? He literally murdered 2 people. I think we need to lock him up and put him away for good. You feel what I'm saying? I don't think the whole like posing with him, I don't know, it's just weird. It's just very weird. And it showed me that like the media and the government, like they really focused on like the negative in this guy, because like he was all over the news. Like, it was all over the news. All people could talk about for 2 weeks was this guy that was missing, or this escaped prisoner who's very dangerous and on the loose, and he's had multiple sightings, and it's just like the police literally cannot find him. Like, they can't do what the fuck they're being paid for. It was just crazy to watch and just like witness in real time. Like, when I think about this years later, or like when it's brought up years later or whatever, I'm gonna think about it and be like, damn, like he really was on the loose for like 2 weeks, and people were scared for their lives, and like he was breaking into people's homes. Like, it's actually crazy, all because the police couldn't do what they needed to do. Which brings me to talk about like what really are they doing? You feel what I'm saying? And now I'm not saying that I wouldn't call the police if I had an issue, because that's what they're here for, obviously. But it's just like, when you have a situation like that, like they had a barrier, I guess, around the area 2 times, and he managed to escape that barrier. So it's like, what were they really doing? Because 2 weeks too long. 2 weeks too long. Okay, I'm glad they caught him, but like 2 weeks too fucking long. And it wasn't even the police, it was the canines. So imagine if there weren't canines or dogs in the police force, he would have never been caught. He would have never been caught, and he would have been free, probably on the loose. And I hope that whatever prison he goes to now has him on watch down, because clearly I don't think he's afraid to do it again, and I think he will if he has any opportunity to. Obviously he has nothing to lose here, but yeah. And I feel like he would have definitely stayed on the run if nobody caught him. or like, yeah, if he just was never caught, he would definitely still be on the run. He was probably gonna fled to Mexico. That's my thought. I was like, he's probably definitely going to Mexico. Like, everybody says if you want to get lost, just head to Mexico, and I'm scared of Mexico for that reason, because if you can get lost in Mexico, I could get lost in Mexico just going there and traveling, and I don't want to do that. I don't know, I'm just scared of going over there. I heard it's beautiful, you know, like it's a nice spot or whatever, but like the cartel and all that, it really scares me. Like, I never want to have an interaction with the cartel by any means. Like, I'm really scared of them and just everything. Like, they're ruthless, I hear, and it's just like, I love that. It's just like not what I want to go through, you know what I mean? I don't know, Mexico scares me. Not the Mexicans, just Mexico in general. Please don't cancel me, don't say anything. Okay, y'all, let's talk about Maui, because the more that things have unraveled about Maui, the worse it gets. And it's just really sad to see, because Hawaii is one of the places I've always wanted to visit, and I don't know, it's just really sad that like they're going through this, and it's like that's their home, and it's like, imagine if your home was like burned down, and they're saying it's a wildfire, but like nothing adds up, right? So let's talk about it really quickly. So if you don't know what happened, apparently what the US is claiming, or like what is being claimed, is that there was a wildfire that happened in Maui, and it burned down pretty much like the whole town of Lahaina. And I guess Lahaina was like known for like their tourist spot, like it was like, you know, really popular, and like hundreds of people live there. Obviously, like it's a home to many people in Hawaii, and pretty much it burned down in a wildfire. But what I've been seeing all over TikTok and just everywhere is that it wasn't really a wildfire, and this was targeted. And I don't know, like, I don't want to say it's a conspiracy, but there is no proof for it. But they're saying that Oprah and a bunch of other people who own land over there, or who want to buy land, did this on purpose so that they could get the land at a cheaper price, and they wouldn't have to worry about like paying people, because then no one lives there, which is kind of pretty messed up. But it's also pretty sketchy and fishy, because apparently 2,000 kids are missing in Hawaii as well. And if you know, you know about Oprah. Listen, again, this is all allegedly, but people say all the time that Oprah sells kids. She has like a bunch of schools in Africa, and there are a bunch of girls missing from her schools, and like just kids in general. Like a lot of kids under Oprah's care just go missing. So it's very odd and strange. And I feel really bad for the people in Maui, because I've seen so much coverage from like on-foot journalists who have traveled to Maui and are getting the real stories and what's really going on. And apparently at the time of the fires, like Maui has this signal that they can play or whatever whenever there's like an emergency or something going on, and apparently that signal never went off. There was no water at the time of the fires. Like they didn't have their water to be able to turn on. Like it was just off for some reason. All of the kids, like school was canceled, so all the parents were at work while kids were home alone or at daycare or wherever they were. So it's just like, I don't know, it's like a lot. It's like too many coincidences that are coincidental. You know what I'm trying to say? Like it's not adding up. And even when they said it was a wildfire, like instantly, without knowing all of these extra things that have come out, I said to myself, what kind of a wildfire would happen in Hawaii? Like I've never heard of a wildfire happening in Hawaii. And it was so specific. Like if you see the map of like the fire, it starts at one end and then ends. Like it just doesn't make sense. Just doesn't, like the path of the fire really doesn't make sense. And it was like super hot fire. It like was burning steel, like insane. And I don't know, like it just makes me wonder what really goes on behind the scenes, because if that really is true, and like the people of Maui are suffering because of greedy billionaires, it's like, what has the world come to? What has the world really come to? And I think about that a lot. I think about like, what would we be without the billionaires like controlling everything? Like what would we be without them trying to get more rich in this and the third? Like would we have a more peaceful society without people having to worry about making money so much? Like I don't know, I feel like at times, not that money should be distributed evenly, but like what's the point of a billionaire? You feel what I'm saying? Like I understand if someone has worked themselves up that far, but like Jesus, you know what I mean? Like Jesus, how much is enough? You know, like especially when there are people who are starving, people who are poor. Like these poor people in Hawaii literally lost their homes because of what? Because people wanted to buy land to get richer. Like it just doesn't make sense to me sometimes. And I don't know, the world is a scary place. So I pray to God every day for discernment and just like protection, because if not, we can get lost in the crazy and godly, worldly things, because I don't know, life is just crazy. But I don't know, guys, I think that's pretty much what I wanted to chat with you guys about. I think I had a good little chat. Let me know what you guys think. If you like these, let me know, comment below. Again, this is like the first little episode vibe, so not too much now. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna get more comfortable. Maybe the videos will be a little bit longer. I didn't want this to be too long. The audio is saying like about 27 minutes, so yeah. I also don't know how this is gonna go with the editing, because I have to match up the audio to the video, and I was recording before, so I don't know. It's gonna be a little bit, but hopefully I can figure this out and edit it and post it maybe tonight, or sometime this week. But yeah, if you end up seeing this video, thank you. Like, comment, share, subscribe, or whatever. Make sure you click all of the links in the description box below to keep up with me on all my other socials. And yeah, guys, bye. Period. It's a wrap.
I'm just doing